Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide this Wednesday. I'm Hawa Salihu Adaman. The federal government has approved the establishment of 8 new private universities in the country as recommended by the National Universities Commission, NUC. The Minister of State for Education, Professor Anthony Onwuka, announced this while briefing newsmen after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided by President Muhammadu Buhari. This, he said, is to give more opportunities to the teeming population of Nigerian youth seeking admission into universities.
Anchor University Ayobo, Lagos State. Arthur Jarvis University at Abuja, Cross River State. Clifford University, Orenta, Abia State. Coal City University, Enugu State. Crown Hill University, Korean, Kwara State. Korean, Kwara State. Dominican University, Ibadan, Oyo State. Kola Daisy University, Ibadan, Oyo State. And Legacy University, Okija, Anambra State.
State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that Council also approved a revised contract for the completion of the domestic and international terminals of the Port Harcourt Airport.
So very soon we would complete that very important airport, especially the arrival, where if you are a traveler, you arrive at Port Harcourt Airport and the scene there, it's not desirable. And that's why at some point that they tagged Port Harcourt as one of the worst airports in the world. But by the grace of God and the wisdom of the council, it has been approved that it will be concluded and finished.
The question is, what do we do when given what happened yesterday at the Senate? Of course, you see, it's not unusual for the executive and legislative to have disagreement. They want more information. We give them and we'll continue to engage them. But we are very confident that the legislative arm of government is also patriotic, and they will see by the time we function with further information, I'm sure our request will be granted.
The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to give financial autonomy to local governments. Ignatius Mko reports from the National Assembly.
After the House passed 5 bills at first reading, 2 bills were passed at second reading, and one of them is that seeking to create more financial autonomy for local governments. And then the mover of that bill is Representative Nkiru Konye-Jocha from Abia State. She's here to tell us more on what the bill seeks to achieve.
What this bill seeks to achieve is to make sure that local government perform optimally in terms of bringing dividends of democracy to the people. They will be able to perform their duties, they will be able to implement projects, they will be able to touch the lives of their people by making sure that the monies come direct to the local government, and then the legislative arm in that council will appropriate according to the need of such local government.
As a former local government chairman, and this bill has been referred to the ad hoc committee on constitutional review, do you think when it gets to the State House of Assembly, it will be considered?
Honestly speaking, if we are fighting corruption and we are built for change and all of us have resolved to change, I don't see any government that will not support it. Well, what it simply means is that you unbundle the financial system.
Thank you for your time.
God bless you.
Well, as it is, the bill has been referred to the Special Ad Hoc Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution. By the time it comes back to the House, it's expected that the House will either reject it or pass it at third reading. It's back to the studio.
Thanks, Ignatius. And still staying with the legislature, Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, has assured the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations of commitment to work harmoniously to grant Nigerians in the diaspora the right to vote in future elections. This was at an oversight visit to the Commission in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba completes the report.
The INEC chairman also said Nigerians in diaspora need their voting rights as they contribute significantly to the growth of the nation.
Where we believe that Nigerians should have the right to vote outside the country. Number one, and the most important, is that they are citizens of Nigeria interested in the affairs of their own country.
Committee Chairman Rose Oko emphasized that it is a desirable move and a way forward for the nation's democracy if it can be actualized in 2019 elections.
Almost 115 countries have done it worldwide, with Africa alone having 28 countries that have started diaspora voting. So we think that Nigeria should also begin to think in that direction, especially as some very high persons, dignitaries in government have lent their voice. We're happy to note that INEC has already commenced some action in this direction.
Senator Oko stressed that the nation does not have to copy other countries, but can design what is appropriate for the people. From the INEC office in Abuja, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
And the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Musa Bello, has pledged government's commitment towards improving the welfare of traditional rulers and fostering a greater synergy between them and chairmen at the 6 area councils. The minister was speaking during interactions with the House Committee on FCT, area councils and ancillary matters. Here is National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunloye with the details.
To a certain level, sincerely speaking, if you go to our palaces, it's an apology. It's an apology as a traditional institution.
I want to request the Honorable Minister to look into the review of the package for the traditional rulers, because they have a great task to keep the law and order of the community which they preside upon.
Given the dynamic nature of the demographics of the various area councils, the FCT Minister agrees that consistent reviews of remunerations and grade levels of the high chiefs must be maintained.
The guidance of the committee, discussion with the FCT Council of Traditional Rulers, and of course general stakeholders, I am sure we will be able to reach some kind of a situation whereby some of the chieftaincies will have to be looked at.
The chairman of the 6 area councils explained the payment structures they inherited from their predecessors and steps to improve welfare packages of the traditional rulers.
35,000 naira per month for the district heads and 15,000 naira per month for the village and hamlet heads. However, right now there is a committee looking at how to review sort of this payments.
When we have a beautiful palace, that is the image of the FCT. You can't have palace and you can't have a chief when the palace is not properly done.
The area council chairmen are expected to report progress in these areas to the House Committee on FCT for further legislative action. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
The Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission is seeking the reversal of a High Court directive in Lagos on the determination of tariff from the Commission's jurisdiction. Acting Chairman of the Commission, Anthony Aka, said these while receiving the House Committee on Power. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The Commission's acting managing director said that the order interferes with the international standards of power distribution process. The discussion centered on the inadequate supply of electricity, enforcement of standards, and the need for attitudinal change of Nigerians for total reformation of the sector.
With the intent of ensuring that consumer interests are protected and with the ultimate desire of ensuring that we increase the efficiency and the quality of service provided by the licensed operators.
We are sure that with the new board coming in, it will serve as a guiding principle, especially in the appropriation and management of resources.
Managing Director, Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company, Marilyn Amobi, told the committee that Nigeria's quest to provide 2,000 megawatts of electricity by 2020 may suffer a setback due to some challenges in the power sector. She said out of the projects with 16 solar developers for 2,225 megawatts of electricity, only 450 megawatts is expected to be secured by 2018. While at the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, the committee found out that 51% of the institute's 2016 budget appropriation was released. Director General of the institute, Reuben Okeke, said there is a total capacity recovery of 1,710 megawatts at Shiroro, Ugeli, Kainji, Sapele power plants. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And the House of Representatives Committee on Environment and Habitat has reassured commitment of the National Assembly towards achieving environmental safety through adequate legislation and oversight. It was an interactive session between the House members and stakeholders on environmental issues in the Niger Delta. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
The interactive section was necessary to equip the committee with relevant information on environmental pollution and other forms of degradation in the Niger Delta as a result of activities of oil companies.
Our farmland, if we plant cassava and when we uproot it before, so then it's very long as yam and very fat. Nowadays, they are like broom.
We carry out effluent monitoring and recipient water body monitoring to ensure that the environment is not impacted negatively.
Submissions by some of the host communities and the representatives of the oil companies operating in the area elicited reactions from other respondents and the members of the committee.
Are we able to show the world that yes, indeed, systematically we have been monitoring, auditing and monitoring the environment? If that answer is no, then we need to go back to the drawing board.
Our committee is desirous to make sure that the environment is better off for it. We also want to look at the practitioners in the environmental sphere as well, if they have the competence to carry out some of the audits, some of the cleaning.
The committee says facts unraveled during the course of the investigation will assist the National Assembly to either amend or reenact laws that will ensure safety and sustainability of the environment.
The committee also has the mandate to investigate plans by the oil companies in the area towards the reduction of gas flaring as well as the integrity test of their facilities. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Agriculturists are advocating proper harvest management and storage to curtail losses for food security, especially with reports of emerging bumper harvest across the country. This was part of submissions by discussants on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live. Talatu Ezewike completes the report.
Nigeria, blessed with arable land and rich farm produce, suffers post-harvest losses year in, year out. In 2011, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations said about 1.3 billion tons of food were wasted globally. Developing countries that was hit with nearly 65% of the losses recorded at the production, processing and post-harvest stages. The scenario has raised concerns, especially the need to get it right with this year's expected bumper harvest.
There isn't any silo in this country, as I'm talking to you now, that is for the preservation of vegetables. And you know how much of onion we lose every year, tomato, and so on and so forth. We lose not less than 1/4 of what we produce. And that counts so much on our economy.
Most of our grains, maize, you can produce them 3 times, even 4 times in a year. The same thing with tomato. But if there is no proper storage, if there is no proper marketing, if there is no proper processing in place, a lot of the production in each season will be wasted.
During the time of Yaradua, there is a conditioning boxes that were made to preserve onions for 6 months. Off season, so that we can even export. Everything we grow in Nigeria, once it is the season, you see it all over. But once it's off the season, it disappears. There are no APC and PDP in crops. You don't play politics with food anywhere in the world.
It is generally held that the nation's quest for food security is achievable, particularly through the right policies and programs, adequate budgetary allocations for agriculture, and an application of homegrown technology. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
Thanks, Talatu. And Abdullahi in our Lagos Network Center will now give us details of stories from that zone. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Well, thanks for joining us in Lagos. The federal government has reiterated its commitment to providing an enabling environment for private sector participation in the operations and provision of services in the maritime sector. Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, stated this while speaking at the World Maritime Day celebration in Lagos. Ken Egbeligwe has details.
It is estimated by the International Maritime Organization that more than 90% of global trade is being transported via the shipping industry. This contributes immensely to the economic development. In Nigeria, opportunities are abound in the maritime sector capable of lifting the economy to higher heights. But these opportunities remain largely unexploited. The Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, attributes low level of investment, lack of requisite funding, and high charges as some of the challenges facing the industry.
The gap in manpower development is addressed by upgrading capacity to provide the needed professionals and skilled personnel to run the industry.
Discussing growth and development of shipping industry in Nigeria, creating enabling environment, a master mariner highlighted policy, security, port facilities, and manpower development as some of the constraints affecting the growth of shipping industry in the country.
So as to create the necessary enabling environment for a vibrant modern industry. This is indeed not exhaustive, given the enormous and diverse nature of the industry.
The need for the Nigerian ports to have expanded capacity to take on additional traffic.
We must have a long-term strategy, both a medium-term and long-term strategy on how to grow knowledge, how to, of course, enhance our infrastructure, and of course, how to attract people to invest within our maritime environment.
Stakeholders agreed that for the country to scale its present economic hurdles and consolidate its chances at future economic stability, stakeholders must return to the drawing board to revamp its shipping industry. In Lagos, Ken Egbeluge, NTA.
An initiative that will capture the historical relevance of Nigeria's culture and heritage has been unveiled at the media briefing in Lagos. The move is part of preparations for the annual Badagry Festival come 2017. Tekleweke has details.
The Badagry Festival, held annually in Badagry Town, Lagos, is reportedly one of the festivals in Nigeria that attracts crowd within Nigeria and outside the country. The festival, which essentially reflects the historical events that defines Nigerians as a people and Africans as a continent, has continued to attract attention world over. Organizers of the Media Palace say next year's event will be expanded to include debates on issues that concern the growth of the African continent in the wake of modernization. Organizers say the need to introduce an intellectual perspective to the festival was long overdue, given the significance of the festival to the Nigerian people.
A diaspora festival that will take place in Badagry, which of course is understandable because of the history of Badagry. And they are coming up with the program called the Dove No Return, as well as a symposium which they'll be holding. But they intend to make it bigger and call it the Diaspora Festival, Badagry, Lagos, Badagry, Nigeria, and I'm sure that will attract the whole world.
They maintain that the platform will afford Africans in diaspora to connect and reestablish bonds with their roots, as well as promote investment and trade boundaries across the continent.
You see, the Dove of Return ceremony is the first of its kind in Africa. We have countries like Ghana, countries like Senegal, countries like Gambia, even Ethiopia, that have done a lot to attract diaspora participation and reintegration. But what we are activating this year is the first of its kind, and no country on the continent of Africa has ever done that.
The theme of the 2017 Badagry Festival is Door of No Return, which directly contrasts the slave version of Point of No Return. In Lagos, Thekla Wilkie, NTA News.
Promotion of inclusion and support from the state and federal governments have been described as possible ways of making life meaningful and peaceful for persons with special needs across the country. This was the view of the president of the National Down Syndrome Foundation at the 2016 Family Fun Fair organized by the foundation in Lagos.
Down syndrome is a genetic disorder caused by the presence of all or part of a third copy of chromosome 21. It is typically associated with physical growth delays, facial features, and moderate intellectual disability. Persons with Down syndrome are often neglected by the society, governments, and sometimes their families. These special persons have been given hope by their parents and caregivers. President of the National Down Syndrome Foundation speaks on the importance of inclusion and support for the physically challenged.
I believe this present government is disability friendly, both at the state level and also at the federal level, because the federal government, I think for the first time, they are giving seriousness to the disability bill. But we haven't been able to reach down to the grassroots to cover every nook and cranny of this country due to lack of funds. As for awareness, yes, we have created a lot of awareness within and without.
Parents at the gathering are of the opinion that provision of education at early stage of growth, healthcare services, and affection will go a long way in making them feel more human.
Once you begin to see them pick up or hit a milestone or the other, I mean, you're encouraged.
And God has been faithful. We've made major steps. More parents are coming out. More people identifying with the condition.
It's a wonderful achievement. The fun fair featured a football match, dance competition, bouncing castle display, among other activities.
And those are top stories at this moment from Lagos. Back to Hawa, who has more stories on Nationwide. Hawa, over to you.
Thanks, Abdullahi. Moving to other matters now, Nigeria's bilateral relation with the United States of America is said to be cordial under the Barack Obama presidency. Ahead of the U.S. presidential election, where Barack Obama's successor is to emerge, some analysts on NTA's breakfast program, Good Morning Nigeria, say the victory of the Democrats in the election will boost the existing relationship. Timothy Yusuf reports.
For the 58th time, the world's oldest democracy, the United States of America, will be deciding who will lead them for the next 4 years next week in a contest between Hillary Clinton of the Democrat and Donald Trump of the Republican. Analysts on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria described the election as the most controversial in the history of America. They, however, believe that the raging controversies do not put the credibility of the election at stake.
We're looking at the democracy in America that's been around for over 230 years, and gone through some of these issues. I think that the greatest lesson we ought to take from what we're watching is simply that longevity and experience in democratic cycles of election is very important.
Look at the United States today. In the next 20 years, the demographics are going to change. Minorities are going to be majority, which means it's the survival of the fittest right now.
On the implication of the would-be winner on Africa and Nigeria in particular, judging from the threat being meted out to Africans and Nigerians by one of the candidates, the analysts differ in their views, stating that the institution is stronger than personal opinion.
You hear Trump in the crowd pointing out, oh, that's an African American. He doesn't say that's an Italian American, but it is an African. African because you have a peculiar color to your race. That's Trump.
We are all emotionally involved, not only with Hillary, but with the Democrats. But history also teaches us that Republicans, when they take office, when they are running for office, show no interest in Africa. But when they get to office, the U.S. system is such that there are standard policies and regions where to focus, and circumstances and events invariably makes them begin to focus on Africa.
The takeaways from the American political system, the analysts say, include perfect internal democracy, debates, and the fact that the candidates are not making the process a do-or-die affair. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Sokoto state government frowns at health workers' attitude to work. Over now to Zainab in our Sokoto Network Center for details. Good afternoon to you, Zainab.
Thank you, Hawa, and welcome to Sokoto. Ahead of the programs lined up for the 10 years anniversary of the 20th Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, beginning with a dinner tonight, a special prayer was held in the early hours of today at the Sultan Bello Jumu'at Mosque in Sokoto, the state capital. Sheikh Muhammad Detti attended the prayer session and now reports.
The prayers under the leadership of Sheikh Buhari Suradawa focused on long life and divine leadership for the Sultan, as well as unity and peaceful coexistence among Nigerians. Immediately after the prayers, the Sultan led a team of personalities for distribution of items to widows and orphans under the Zakat and Endowment Committee. Items distributed include bags of rice, mattresses, refrigerators, sewing and grinding machines. Amin Waziri Tambol, who described the Sultan's 10 years anniversary on the throne as a blessing to the entire Muslim in the country, lauded his effort in unifying the two major religions in the country and his effort in the fight against poliomyelitis. The celebrant, Sultan Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, thanked Almighty for sparing his life to witness his 10-year anniversary. He called on leaders at all levels to have the fear of Allah and sympathy over their subjects. Emir of Kano Muhammad Sanusi II congratulated the Sultan and wished him more fruitful years ahead. He reaffirmed the loyalty of Kano Emirate and that of the entire people of Kano to the Sultanate Council. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Detti, NTA News.
In the meantime, the ancient city of Sokoto is wearing a new look to host personalities across the globe for the lined-up events marking the 10th year anniversary of Sultan Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, ending with a Durbar on Saturday, the 5th of November 2016. Dignitaries who already arrived Sokoto for the occasion speak on the contributions of the Sultan within and beyond the fold of the Caliphate. Muhammad Nasir reports.
Major streets and runabouts in Sokoto metropolis have all been renovated, giving the state capital a new look. All strategic buildings, including the palace of the Sultan and venues for hosting the line-up activities marking the event, have also been renovated and prepared for the occasion. Security operatives in the state are on top of the situation, assuring the general public on their readiness to ensure a hitch-free celebration. Dignitaries who started arriving in the state capital since last Monday have this to say on Sultan Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III.
The position he holds is a great position as the undisputed leader of the Sokoto Caliphate. He's our leader, he's our colleague, he's our brother. He has been a bridge builder between us and other groups in the country, across religions, across ethnic divides.
He borrowed changes of leadership of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs.
His Eminence the Sultan is somebody who is very generous. I think he's very intelligent, and I think somebody who takes time to think about things before committing himself.
The Sultan in the last 10 years has definitely been a major bridge builder. He has had experience and exposure that his predecessors didn't have.
His Eminence, the Sultan, is known to be a man of peace, a bridge builder.
How about this for a teaser before a number of cultural displays as the programs unfold? In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
And Sokoto state government has warned that any health personnel caught selling drugs meant for primary health centers will be dealt with in accordance with civil service rules. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol stated this during a meeting with health personnel drawn from 23 local government areas of the state. Usman Muhammad Binji reports.
The health personnel were drawn from various health facilities from across the state. Declaring the workshop open, Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol, represented by Commissioner Ministry for Local Government, Sokoto, Alhaji Manir Raiya, says the state government will not hesitate to deal with any health personnel caught selling the essential drugs meant for the public. Commissioner for Health Dr. Balarab Shehu Kakale said 80% of the health problems could be solved by the primary health centers in the state, and tasked the participants at the workshop to be up and doing in the discharge of their duties.
Joint verification done by the Ministry for Local Government and Health has found the deficit in manpower in Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and we are going to take care of that in phases.
Executive Secretary, Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Sani Labaran says the aim of the workshop is to sensitize and reorient the health personnel on their roles at the primary health centers. He cautions them against playing politics while delivering healthcare services to the people. In Sokoto, Usman Mohamed Benji, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to you, Hawa, for more news. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Zainab. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. It's time to take some messages now. Nationwide continues shortly.
This is a happy moment for me and for all Nigerians.
Amina Ali Nkeke, the first Chibok schoolgirl to be rescued in the renewed onslaught against the Boko Haram insurgency.
Amina's rescue gives us new hope.
Federal government has formally received the 21 abducted Chibok girls.
These dear daughters of ours have seen the worst that the world has to offer. It is now time for them to experience the best that the world can do for them. Government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely.
With an increasingly volatile economy, there has never been a more fitting time to own your space and carve out new opportunities. Join over 1,000 women at the 15th Women in Management, Business and Public Service WIMBIZ Annual Conference as we discuss the next frontier, new landscape, new possibilities. Topics include beyond parity, inspiring the next generation of female leaders, women in mining, unlocking the Nigerian mining opportunities, and the billion naira tourism industry, monetizing the beauty within, among other topics. Date is Thursday the 3rd and Friday the 4th of November 2016. And the venue, Echo Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. It starts at 8 a.m. prompt daily. To register, visit www.wimbizannualconference.com or call 0803-594-6249. WIMBIZ, 15 years of inspiring and empowering women.
Now, you can hold that dream occasion without stress. Horizon Caterers will provide answers to all your catering questions. Exquisite hall designs, mouth-watering and nourishing local and continental cuisine, suitable for all types of ceremonies, including weddings, AGMs, business luncheon, cocktails. Name it, we can bring it. Our chefs and executive waiters give your guests that unforgettable experience in service. Our service covers all states of the Federation. Call us today to book your occasions. 0805-502-9637, 0803-450-9726, 0909-9708-111. Horizon Caterers, experience catering beyond the horizon.
Afrima. My name is Femi Anikula Kukuti. I'm going to be at the Afrima village on the 4th of November 2016. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you are there. This is
unstoppable. Over 30 African stars and our Afrima nominees will be performing live. Diamond Platinum, Kiss Daniel, Dewale Ayuba, Eddie Kenzo, VVIP, Niniola, Ramide, Mbula, Small Doctor, H-Name, and other 30 African stars. On Friday, November 4th, 2016, come and enjoy original African underground sound at the Afrima Music Village at the Waterfront Bar Beach, Victoria Island, Lagos, in Nigeria from 5 p.m. Entry fee is simply Afrima t-shirt. Available on ariatickets.com or at the venue. Afrima is an initiative of the African Union Commission and is brought to you by Lagos State Government with support from One Campaign, Access Bank, PRM Africa, and the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Africa will be unstoppable. Afrima, for hope, for celebration.
IGR Summit for local government leaders and administrators in Nigeria. With the significant fall in the price of crude oil and in keeping with the diversification policy of federal government of Nigeria, Sean Cousins Consulting and NTA TV Enterprise invites chairman of LGAs, councillors and DAS to IGR Summit for local government leaders and administrators in Nigeria. Date 16 to 17 November 2016. Venue Rays Continental Hotel, Central Business District, Abuja. For inquiries, please call 0818-502-1405 or 090-555-99925. You can also email us with info@scbsedu.org or visit our website on www.scbsedu.org/LG to register. IGR Summit. The world has changed. So must we.
Who are you and what is your predicament?
Please, I'm looking for Candy. Who is living here? In this compound?
Oh no, this is a premises. The compound is an amalgam of chemicals, and there is no Candy living in this premises.
This week on your award-winning comedy series, Professor John Bull, starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Wokoye, Funky Malam, Bimbo Akintola, Ime Bishop, Yomi Fash Lanso, MC for God.
Who was you? What was you found?
Actually, look at you. I going to look for my sister. I know you are poor.
Yeah. And he was found in the place. Call me. Okay?
Say somebody.
She's definitely not my sister.
Shut up!
Professor John Bull, fasten your seatbelts this Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA Network, International, and Star Times. It's absolutely bombastic.
Over and out.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Thanks for rejoining us on Nationwide. Processes leading to the 2016 National Migration Dialogue, billed for December this year, are on course with the conclusion of a two-day workshop by the Technical Working Group held in Saminaka, Kaduna State. Ogechi Paul reports on the event organized by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, sponsored by the Swiss government.
The workshop participants consists of migration stakeholder, ministries, departments and agencies, and other interest groups reflective of the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT. They constitute a technical working group charged with facilitating modalities for the 2016 National Migration Dialogue, which demands, among other tasks, the proposing of overall national theme and sub-themes to reflect migratory peculiarities of each geopolitical zone, for discourse at the National Dialogue billed for December 2016. Head of the facilitating agency, Federal Commissioner NCFRMI, Sadia Umar Farouk, was represented, as well as the Swiss Ambassador to Nigeria, sponsor, courtesy of the Nigeria-Switzerland Partnership on Migration Cooperation, entered in 2011.
Now that we have the national migration policy, it would be a fantastic thing if the Commission is going to get more of the support it can need from the government to make sure that this policy is implemented properly. And I'm sure with that implementation, you will see a lot of changes in the usual migration goals.
We have a good quality of partnership with Nigeria, and as there are challenges or problems arising, like in all partnership we take and find solution together.
The workshop brought the participants close to the warmth of the Saminaka people of Kaduna State. Ogechi Paul, NTA News.
And Enugu Network Center is where we go next.
Thank you, Hawa, and welcome to Enugu.
Christian faithful in Enugu joined their counterparts worldwide to observe All Souls Day. November 2 in the liturgical calendar is observed as All Souls Day. It is set aside to pray for all departed faithful who may not have attained the glory of heaven. Chiagonuaro has details.
And come short of the glory of God. And so the church in Enugu joins the entire Christendom to call to mind all departed family members, friends and relatives who have died. Delivering a homily today in a mass to pray for the dead, the Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Right Reverend Callistus Onaga, reminded Christians that death is inevitable and only the living can change the destiny of the dead through fervent prayers.
At this period, we pray for them, believing that God Himself will forgive them their sins if we really pray for them.
Because it is a solemn observation, visit to the burial ground is a tradition. So Christians quietly moved into nearby cemeteries to pray for the faithful departed. Bishop Onaga charged the faithful to observe the month of November as a month for praying for the dead. In Enugu, Chiagono Aro, NTA News.
The Enugu State government says the present administration will not tolerate poor quality service at the State University Teaching Hospital, Park Lane, Enugu, as the hospital represents the face of a health sector in the state. Chairman, House Committee on Health, Chukwuemeka Oboebo, stated this when his team paid an unscheduled visit to Park Lane Hospital following rising complaints on the deteriorating quality of services in the hospital. Susan Eze completes the report.
Of labor unions in the hospital, members of the Enugu State House Committee on Health condemned the situation where a tertiary hospital such as Park Lane suffers acute shortage of water and electricity supplies. Other complaints by members of the public, according to the committee, include poor emergency response, issues with laboratory services and overbilling, as well as poor attitude of staff to patients.
This teaching hospital represents the face of Enugu, the face of this government. This is our only tertiary hospital at the moment. And if we don't get it right here, then we can be sure that what happens in the secondary healthcare or primary healthcare cannot be written about, cannot be talked about.
In their responses, the acting chief medical director, Park Lane, Dr. Wilfred Okenwa, and the leaders of the labor unions in the hospital presented some challenges affecting optimal performance of the hospital.
The problem with accident and emergency is that the bed spaces there are too small for the population we serve.
Carrying the investigation further, the committee also engaged officials of the State Water Corporation while directing the hospital management to submit to it documents of payment of utility bills as well as details of the hospital's internally generated revenue. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
The Commercial Agriculture Development Program Enugu has continued with the inspection of project sites of some beneficiaries in the Youth and Women Program of the agency. Chinyere Okoye reports that the inspection took the CADP team to some communities in Ozowane and Oji River Council areas of Enugu State.
The tour was to ascertain the level of preparedness of the beneficiaries in terms of facilities for their various choice projects in agriculture. These projects include rice production, poultry farming, and other agricultural ventures. This initiative by the CADP is geared towards giving hope to the people with some measure of financial empowerment, especially rural women and youths, to develop agriculture and ensure food sufficiency. 98 of them have undergone training under the scheme on their choice agricultural projects and financial support given to them, which will be spent on the supervision of service providers.
Before we start the real empowerment, we have to go for site selection and then educate them on how they will go about it. so that we don't normally give them cash, but through a service provider.
Some beneficiaries whose project sites were inspected and certified by the CADP team speak on their readiness to help in the realization of the objective of the scheme.
In no distant time, I will employ at least 3 persons. Thereby, unemployment rate is reducing.
The Women and Youth Agricultural Empowerment Program of the CADP is a scheme supported by the World Bank to assist rural dwellers in food production and becoming self-reliant. In Enugu, Chinyere Okoye, NTA News.
That report by Chinyere concludes our contribution from this end. Hoa, it's back to you.
Thanks, Ngozi. It was the turn of nomadic teachers in the North Central Zone to key into the new thinking on how to improve nomadic education in the country when teachers from 6 states in the zone and the FCT converge on Mina for the training workshop. Lina Obi reports.
The nomadic education is said to have fallen short of its objectives due to numerous challenges and implementation of the system. As Nigeria steps up efforts to improve basic education and reduce the number of out-of-school children from the streets, the National Commission on Nomadic Education strategy is to improve teacher quality and efficiency. This, the Commission believes, will return more children of the nomads to school. At the North Central Zone of Training Workshop by the Commission in Mina, the Executive Secretary, Professor Bashir Usman, urged the teachers to key into the new drive to improve learning in their schools.
Our resource persons are all professors, with 1 or 2 that attended to be professors. I am 100% sure the modules that they developed are up to date and are very current, and they cover all of the things that are most time so that we can now also learn.
Other speakers at the workshop expressed concerns over the conditions in the nomadic schools and welcomes the efforts to address such challenges.
Education cannot be possible without teachers. We need teachers for us to have education.
I urge them to be very, very attentive so that they will take all the necessary knowledge they have acquired here to their respective schools.
Some of the participants who expressed happiness over the development pledged to extend the knowledge to their colleagues that are not part of the training.
And as part of efforts to draw global attention to the reintegration of internally displaced persons in the Northeast, the National Orientation Agency and the 1212 Polo and Turf Club are strategizing towards the realization of education in the Northeast through a polo tournament tagged Future Secured Polo Series. Director General of the NOA, Garba Abari, made this known when the Polo Club board members paid him a visit in Abuja. Commending the Polo Club for living up to its social responsibility, the NOA DG noted that the trauma, socio-economic and political dislocation caused by the insurgency calls for all well-meaning Nigerians to contribute towards rebuilding the zone.
Now the idea is to bring to the fore some of the challenges, especially that of education, the Northeast, which is one of the most challenged parts of this country is passing through. Also underscores your seriousness towards bringing to the fore, not only nationally, but beyond our national borders, the need to marshal support, cooperation, understanding, with a view to quicken the pace of return to normalcy in that part or in our part of the country.
Chairman Board of the Polo Club, Murtala Aliyu, said the Future Secured International Tournament series will promote education across the country with emphasis on the Northeast.
Education disappointment in the northeastern part of the country, which has been affected by the insurgencies, and schools have been lagging behind.
and the Nigerian Television Authority and the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria are exploring partnership for a well-regulated environment for quality pharmaceutical services to sustain healthcare delivery. This was the thrust of discussion during a visit to the Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, by the Council's executive. Tasty Justin Bisang reports.
Health, they say, is wealth, and thus measures must be deployed to ensure attainment of quality healthcare delivery and universal health coverage and access. Criticizing the chaotic and uncoordinated drug distribution system in Nigeria, which he said has contributed to faking and counterfeiting, Registrar of Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, Elijah Mohammed, emphasized that health is an essential human right and a cornerstone of sustainable development and global security.
It is high time the businessmen who are operating within the pharmaceutical landscape in Nigeria knew that if life cannot be all about them, with a view to maximizing profit always, true value and premium can only be placed on the quality of pharmaceutical products and services offered and not on what they can make out of the profession.
Director General NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, was represented by the Executive Director on News, Shola Atere, who emphasized the need for order in the nation's regulatory system to boost productivity.
I assure you that NTA will definitely continue to collaborate with you and support you because your activities are noble.
The Pharmacists Council of Nigeria is a federal government parastatal with responsibility to regulate and control pharmacy education, training and practice. Tessie Justin Bisong, NTA News.
A World Bank research reveals that 64 million Nigerians are prone to at least one form of mental health disorder. Now, worried by increased rate of mental health challenge amongst Nigerians, an expert has advocated adequate facilities and personnel to curb the trend. Mrs. Ndidi Mbagu, who spoke on NTA's News Panorama, said 1/3 of the adult population is affected, with children, rather women, leading in most reported cases. She said,
our men are seen. They have this kind of thing about them that men shouldn't really report anything that is wrong with them. They keep everything to themselves. So women, on the other hand, are more likely to go to hospital and say to the doctor, hey, I have some depressive symptoms, and report them. And those are what we look at, and we count them as the number of people with illnesses. So unlike men, women are much more into going to hospital and reporting their symptoms.
Mrs. Ndidimbagu said low level of awareness on mental health is among the predisposing factors.
What we need to actually do in this country is to...
And still talking health, the federal government has congratulated a US-based Nigerian surgeon, Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye, on his recent feat in carrying out a successful operation on an unborn baby with tumor in her mother's womb. The senior special assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, who conveyed the message in a statement, said President Muhammadu Buhari received the news of Dr. Olutoye's unique fate with excitement and fulfillment and looks forward to meeting him soon. The statement also adds that the need to celebrate Dr. Olutoye for the wonderful feat he performed in saving lives and projecting a good image for Nigeria. Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye and his surgeon partner, Dr. Darren Kers, of the Texas Children's Hospital, carried out an operation of fetus at 23 weeks in the U.S. The baby, Lynn Help, who suffered from a tumor, was removed from her mother's womb, operated upon, and returned back, healed, and continued to grow until she was born at 36 weeks. To the global scene now, Rwanda takes its Buy Rwanda Products campaign to Congo-Brazzaville and identifies new business opportunities. And Turkey expresses strong economic trade interest in Africa. For more reports on global tidbits, let's join Runke Kolawale.
In Côte d'Ivoire, the main opposition leader, Pascal Affi-Goussad, has rejected the result of the referendum on a new constitution, alleging the result was fixed. If the result is finally accepted, the new constitution will scrap the requirements. The parents of presidential candidates must be Ivorian born and remove the 75-year age limit for candidates. On the Gambia, the Human Rights Watch is alleging that the president, Yahya Jammeh, is using violence to silence critics as the country prepares for presidential election in December. Jammeh denied he is seeking re-election for a fifth term, while a report says so far 2 Gambian activists have died in custody. Meanwhile, Sudan has rejected Amnesty International report of September 29, which said the country's armed forces have used chemical weapons to kill more than 200 people in Darfur, saying it is baseless and fabricated. Elsewhere, report from the city of Mosul says Iraqi security forces are now securing their foothold, moving from house to house to clear the so-called Islamic State militants from the area. And in Bulgaria, police divers have found 11.7 million counterfeit dollar notes in a reservoir. 3 Bulgarians have been arrested in connection with the crime. For Global Tidbits, Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
Sports now. 14 teams competing in Abuja progressed to Division 2 of the NBBF League as Japan decries rising cost for Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Amanzi Marcus has details on Sports Update.
A total of 46 matches have been decided over 7 days in the National Division 2 Men's Basketball League, holding at the Package B section of the Abuja National Stadium. At the end of the tournament on Saturday, 2 teams each from the Atlantic and Savannah conferences will qualify to play in Division 1 of the NBBF League.
It's one of our developmental leagues. If you notice, majority of the players playing are young players. Very many are in a tournament for the first time of this at this level. And the standard has been very high.
Head coach of Nigeria Super Falcons, Florence Omagbemi, has expressed satisfaction with the players' performance in training ahead of the 2016 Africa Women's Championship, slated for Cameroon from November 19 to December 3. She was speaking after the 7-time champions lost 2-4 to an Abuja selected team in a friendly match Tuesday at the Abuja National Stadium training pitch.
We're still building, we're still trying to get, we're in the process. We have the majority of the home-based players in camp right now. Some are coming in, and we only have like 3 professionals. By next week, we expect the other numbers coming in with the pros we invited.
The head of a Japanese panel tasked with slashing expenses for the next Olympics said on Wednesday that poor supervision and a lack of clear authority is one of the reasons costs for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics soared to more than 4 times its original estimates. Tokyo Governor Yuriko Koike, who took office in August, ordered a review of Olympic expenses that recommended changing 3 venues in an effort to rein in costs projected to hit 3 trillion yen, 4 times initial estimates, when the city won the right to host the games. With Sports Update, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
And just before we go, a reminder that you can get all our stories and much more when you log on to our website www.nta.ng. And that's Nationwide this Wednesday. We thank you for being part of it. Stay on the network service for more reports and News Extra at 9. Good evening.